And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host and author, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome tonight debut horror author Del Sandeen, here to give us the inside scoop the night before the book comes out on this cursed house. Del, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I'm so happy to be here. This Cursed House is my debut Southern Gothic horror. It is about my protagonist is Gemma Barker. She lives in Chicago, but she moves to New Orleans. She accepts a job offer from a family, and Gemma has reasons for wanting to leave Chicago. And when she gets this job offer, she's looking at it as her chance to start over. And as soon as she arrives in New Orleans, some of the attitudes of a couple of people who she runs into who are familiar with the Duchon family who hired her, they kind of try to warn her away, but she really needs this job. She really wants this job. So she goes to the home, she meets the family, and she soon finds out that she's not there for what they supposedly hired her for. The family is actually under a dark curse and they need her to break it.
Well, just like that, you hooked us good, Del Sandeen, and I cannot wait to talk about every single delicious question because, oh my God, I was up until 2:30 this morning reading this book. And let me tell y'all, first of all, don't read this book at night. Because then I went around and I checked all the windows, I checked the door and I made sure it was locked. And then I went back and made sure it was locked again. But then I remembered ghosts don't walk through doors. They just come on in.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, don't think about it. Don't think about it. So only read this book in the light, but you have to read this book. I love this book and I'm so excited to talk about all the details. Okay, let's first welcome everybody. We are broadcasting live to 7 different destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So mystery and thriller loving friends, no matter where you're watching from, you are in the right place. This is the right time. It is Mystery Monday. And because Mondays can be murder, we're going to make it a little less painful and get your week off to a killer start. So if you've been with me before, you know the drill. And if you're new, here's the drill. Every Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors. You get to ask them anything. So ask Del about this book. Ask her about Miss Gemma Barker, her main character. Ask her about her writing practice. Ask her anything that you want. What happens on Mystery Thriller Mavens stays on Mystery and Thriller Mavens. It's like Vegas, but more murdery. All right, let's jump on into the question. Sharon is joining us from YouTube. She's saying, happy murderous Monday. Happy murderous Monday to you, Sharon. Okay, now we had some questions submitted in advance, but I got to ask some questions myself first. So first of all, Del, we learned very quickly as Gemma is sitting on that train from Chicago to New Orleans that she can see ghosts.
Yes.
She is seeing otherworldly figures that nobody else that she knows of is seeing. So first of all, Del Sandeen, do you believe in ghosts and have you seen any?
I do believe in ghosts and no, I have never seen any and I don't want to. Yeah, I can go my whole entire life not seeing them. So yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So you do believe in them, but you've never seen them. Nope. So in the book, Gemma is sitting on the train. She sees her first ghost. She doesn't want to see it. She closes her eyes. She learns this technique, counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. She's trying to will it away, which is what her mom, and her dad told her, don't look at it. That's the devil's work. And she gets to New Orleans. She gets a cup of coffee because she has not had access to food because in 1963, the trains were legally segregated and there was no dining car for the Black passengers. So she's hungry. She's got to get some corn and grits, get some egg and grits. This book made me hungry. I was like, I want some shrimp gumbo. I want to get to New Orleans. I want a beignet. I want shrimp. I want some grits. Oh my God.
Right. Who doesn't? I know.
My mouth was watering, Del. And then she starts to notice that when she tells folks in town that in Tremé that she's going out to work for the Duchon family, people are nervous. People are avoidant. Something ain't right. And I noticed that was giving me, I was getting nervous. I was like, oh God, if I had been watching a movie, the spooky music would have come in. Del, how do you think, so that's one way that I noticed you were successfully building up the tension and giving me the that tingling on the back of my neck. What are some other things techniques you employed to make this book really, really scary?
Well, the funny thing is when I first finished, the draft and submitted it to my editor, I described it as Southern Gothic. I didn't describe it as Southern Gothic horror, but my editor, she said, you know what, we need more ghosts. And so it kind of turned a little bit scarier, which is actually, okay with me because I do really enjoy, horror stories. So
Wait, so there were ghosts in the first draft, or there were no ghosts?
There were ghosts, but she was like, we need more.
She wanted more ghosts.
Yeah, it was like, that Saturday Night Live skit. We need more cowbells.
Well, I was just
so putting the ghosts, I guess strategic placement, that was one way that I was trying to, increase some tension. And the other thing was sprinkling in some of the family's odd behavior, like Facette with the lullaby, that Gemma would hear.
Lullaby. So let's explain. Yes. So Facette is the granddaughter of the woman Honorine who has hired Gemma to come. Gemma thinks it's to be a tutor because she's a 4th grade teacher. Why else would she be there? Mm-hmm. Then they tell her, no, we need you to break this curse. It's on all of us. And her granddaughter, Facette, who is Gemma's age, has the room next to her. And every night she hears her singing this lullaby.
Yes, but there are no children in the house. So.
That was also creeptastic, Del.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. My editor said #more ghosts. I love that. Okay, let's jump into the comments. Okay, Renee saying, hi, Sarah and Del from Southeast Florida. I'm going to watch this later this week. I need to get some things ready before Milton hits Florida. Yes.
Yes, stay safe, Renee.
Stay safe, Renee. And Del's also in Florida. Del, you stay safe too. All of our Florida friends.
Yes.
No need to watch this now. Watch it at your pleasure. No worries. Please. No worries. Renee has a question before she goes. She wants to know, Del, have you ever felt the presence of a ghost? Maybe a little tingling and unease. Tell us.
I will say, I don't think I ever felt the presence of a ghost, but I will say when I was younger, maybe like 11 or 12, I was home one night alone. My parents had gone out and, I was watching television, and the room that I was in, with the television, we had another room in the house where we had a big bookcase, filled with books. So I'm watching television. It's like maybe, I don't know, like 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I heard something from the other room, like bam, like hit the floor. And it sounded like a book fell off the shelf and onto the floor, but I was home by myself. I was too scared to go check. So I don't know what it was. Maybe it was a book. I'll never know. So that was definitely something that really creeped me out and scared me.
That is something that happens in your book over and over and over again, Del. And I had no idea it was drawn from your real life. And now I'm even more scared. So Gemma gets to the Duchon's house, and there's no kid for her to tutor. So Honorine puts her to work organizing the library, and this one gray book keeps leaping off the shelf. And right. If it was me, my little dust tracks would be running back to Chicago. But Gemma, a braver soul, stays. She keeps putting it back on the shelf, and it keeps jumping off. Oh my God.
Well, she wanted to leave. But Honorine was like, no.
So when Alice Feeney came on the show for her series, she told me that her neighbor's house is haunted.
Oh my gosh.
And books fly off the shelf every night. And the neighbor says, just ignore them, because if you comment on it, they get madder and it happens more.
Oh my gosh.
Well, would you live in that house?
No.
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 Oh my God. No. Exactly. Jane Brannigan Kaufman, welcome to the conversation. She said, if Sarah is this excited excited about this book. I definitely need to read this one. Oh, Jen, thank you. I'm very excited about this book. Kayla, welcome to the conversation from YouTube, saying hello. I was lucky to come across this channel. I have pre-ordered this book, and I am so excited to get to know to get and
Into.
to get into it.
Yes. Thank you, Kayla.
Thank you, Kayla. I was like, get to know you. Yes, I will get to know you. John is joining us from Facebook, saying greetings from Northeast Ohio. Hey, John, great to have you. Kayla saying this book is perfect for spooky season. Oh my God,
It
Kayla,
is.
spooky season is my favorite season. That's what we're all about here on Mystery and Throne Mavens. Thank you. Sharon saying lullabies can be creepy for sure. Exactly, especially if there's no kids around. And you're just singing them. I'm going to start doing that just as terrified. And no one can hear me. Elizabeth, welcome to the conversation, saying, do you have a favorite creepy story, Del?
I do. Okay, so this is a true story, and this is why I believe in ghosts, even though I've never seen any. Okay, so my grandfather told me when he was a teenager, I guess this was his first job. He was a delivery boy for a pharmacy, and he had to make these deliveries late at night on his bicycle. So one night, he's riding his bike, he's on like a country road. It's dark, there's no lights, and he's riding, and he hears someone call from the side of him, and they say, "Hey, you." Okay. So there's no cars out there because he would have heard that. He can't see who it is. So he just keeps riding. And then a couple of minutes later, he hears again, "Hey, you," but it's not from behind him like it should have been. It was like from the same distance to the side of him. And again, since he's riding a bike, there's no way someone could have walked or run as fast as he was going. And there was no cars. Okay. So he keeps riding. And then he said a couple more times, he hears it again. And it's always that same distance to the side of him, not behind him. So he told me that, when I was younger, and that every time I think about that, I get creeped out.
Yes. And yes, one time I asked one of our guests if they believed in ghosts, and she said, "No, I don't believe in them, but I've seen two."
Okay, that's strange.
I feel like that's willful. That right there is a strong sentiment. I don't see it. I don't see it. I think you do.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Read, love, listen. Welcome to the conversation, saying this book sounds spooky. I believe it had some strange. I believe it. I had some strange experiences and was told, don't feed into the fear. They feed off it. Okay. That's even more terrifying.
Yes.
Tell us more. Read, love, listen. Tell us more. We're here for it.
Because I've heard that same thing.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why Gemma's,
right, like Gemma's mom. Hear no evil,
right.
no evil.
Right.
It's just, don't, out of mind, out of sight.
Exactly.
But yet it is still here. And as we see from Gemma, ignoring them doesn't make them go away. In fact, that is what they're going to stay there because they actually need something from her. So Del, tell us how you came up with this idea.
Oh gosh, I was going to say, when I first was thinking of what story I wanted to write, the very first thing that, popped into my head was cursed family. So that was where I started.
That's the first thing that pops into your head. Yes. Why is that the first thing that pops into
your head? I don't know. And all I can say is that was the idea. I don't know where it came from, but that's what it was. And so the particulars, of the curse, that was what I started with. And I guess when I decided on a protagonist, when I decided on Gemma, I wanted her to have an ability, and ultimately I wanted that ability to not just help her, but also help the family. So I don't know, to me, that just seemed, I don't know, I'm not going to say easy, but it seemed like something that it was interesting because even though I've never seen ghosts, since I believe in them, that was like something I wanted to explore.
Well, as Jane pointed out in the comments, thank you, Jane. I am excited about this book, and let me tell you why. Obviously, I love mysteries and thrillers and the subgenres of horror. I don't like gory horror. But this is not gory horror. This is ghost horror, and ghost horror I'm totally fine with. In fact, I love it. And I love a page turner. I love to be kept up late at night. But let me tell you what I really love. What I really love is the meat on those bones. I want my brain to be fed. I want to talk about things that matter. I want to learn as I read. And what I love about a great book, and when I feel fully fed by a book, is when there are bigger, deeper, meatier issues there. I don't want to be preached to. Ain't nobody got time for that. But I want to learn, and I want to think, and I want to feel fully fed. And I did feel fully fed about this book, because this book is talking about a lot of different things besides the cursed family and the ghost, which are terrifying. Thank you for the hearts up and the thumbs up on Facebook, y'all. I see you. Thank you. Because we're talking about the history of enslavement in the South. We are talking about segregation, which was legal in 1963, the year that this book takes place. We have marches and sit-ins happening outside of the house, but not inside the house, because they've got enough going on. In this, and it is a former plantation where enslaved people were held, and that like much of the South, is a fact. And so I really loved that. I loved that you dealt with the historical elements. I loved that it was well researched. I loved the details of the train. And I loved that you also were reckoning with larger issues like, how do we really free ourselves, whether it's from curses or whether it's just from grudges? Anyone else a grudge holder? I hold that grudge till I die. Like, a meme popped up for me the other day. It was like, if professional grudge holder was a job, I would be. And I love that you also were dealing with that, because I was thinking, how would I break a curse? Like, how would one do that?
Right.
And it gives us the answer. And I'm not going to spoil it, but I said, oh my God, this makes sense. Oh my gosh. Okay. So that is what I loved about
Thank
some of the things
you.
that I loved. Jane, so thank you for bringing that up. Read Love Listen says, that is so scary. I wonder those woods folklore. Exactly. Kayla saying, wow, that story would make me
Yeah.
Read Love Listen saying, stuff kept disappearing and reappearing outside, but only people home were me, my husband, and toddler. Oh my God. We never went outside, stuff falling for no reason. Oh my God, it's like the book with Dell. Saw shadow figures with red eyes.
No.
We moved fast.
Very smart.
There would be dust behind my heels.
Right. Very smart. Oh my gosh. That is terrifying.
God. Sharon saying, I gotta say, I believe in ghosts. My husband and I used to own a 300-year-old antique barn. Okay, some stuff happened in that barn. We know. All kinds of strange things happened. Creepy, but also awesome at the same time. Okay, Sharon, I think we should start holding events in that barn. Maybe a seance. So, there's a seance or two in your book. I'm going to need to know more about the seance. How did you, like, I don't know anything about seances. How did you research them?
I did have to research seances because I've never been involved in one. And really, that's an experience I don't need to have.
Tell us everything. What was your research? Did you Google what is a seance? Did you
basically, yes, because, it's okay. So, I mean, I assume, people can do it different ways, but the gist of it is, people, they gather together generally in a circle. I think most of the time, they hold hands, like to keep the circle, connected, because that's what I did, with the seance that takes place in my novel. And whoever is the medium, they try to call on any spirits who are, present, and just try to get them to appear. So I know that, back in I think around the Victorian era, seances were pretty big, but there were a lot of, there was a lot of fakery. There were a lot of people who, they presented themselves as mediums, and they would, sometimes prey on families who, lost a loved one, and they just, use all sorts of tricks, to make them think that there was a spirit present. But, outside of the fakery, for people who, do believe in, I could only assume, sure. If you have the ability and you call on something and something's there, yes, it might show up.
It might show up, and that's terrifying.
Yes.
Read Love. This is I just requested this book on Libby. So happy to learn about it today. Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you. Kayla saying, Sarah, if I hadn't already pre-ordered this book, listen now. You speak about it, would purchase it. Yay! Kayla, thank you, ma'am. And for everyone else who hasn't pre-ordered it yet, you can pre-order it from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. That is, of course, Murder by the Book. And whether you're watching with us on Facebook or YouTube, here is that link to pre-order Dell's book tonight. And the good folks at Murder by the Book will ship it out to you tomorrow morning. So thank you so much. Okay. Sharon is saying she used to hold Halloween book clubs in her haunted barn.
That's like the perfect place.
I would attend, Sharon. I would attend. Okay.
I would too. I would
like see you in Sharon's barn, Dell.
Right.
Get the candles ready.
Right.
Dell, I want to talk about some of this praise that your book has earned. Okay. So let's kick off first with Alma Katsu, who has been on the show for her last 3 books. Former CIA analyst, Alma Katsu, turned thriller author and horror author. Alma Katsu, I'm going to pop this up so we can all read it together. She says, in this haunting and chilling story, an inglorious remnant of American history is handled so deftly that you won't believe it's Del Sandeen's first novel. Oh, that is beautiful, Alma. Thank you. She says, it is hard to believe which is more disturbing, the otherworldly goings-on in the Duchon mansion or the racism of the South in the 1960s. I love that review from Alma Katsu. Let's take a peek at some of the other things as well. This one from Rachel Harrison. Again, I'm going to pop it up so we can all read it together. Rachel says that, hold on, I'm going to pop it up. She says, that's Alma's. An absolute marvel of a debut from a prodigious talent. This Cursed House is a richly atmospheric, utterly chilling ghost story, an enthralling puzzle box of family scandals and secrets that's also an unflinching examination of the insidiousness of racism, the horrors of colorism, and how the toxicity of hate is a curse that traps us all with the worst of ourselves, a spellbinding Southern Gothic. What I loved about Rachel's review is that she talked about as that line, how the toxicity of hate is a curse that traps us all with the worst of ourselves. Yeah. Now, Del, let's talk about that, because that's what Rachel says it so much more beautifully eloquently than I did. But there's something there, because not all of us have seen ghosts. Not all of us believe in ghosts, but all of us have experienced hate. We've witnessed it or been on the receiving end of it or seen it in the world. Did you set out with the goal of making that a part of your book? Like, I want to address this. There's a lot of division and a lot of anger and a lot of hatefulness in our world right now. Or were you like, oh my God, I never even thought of that?
That wasn't like one of the first themes that I was planning to write about. But like when I formed the family, and because colorism is such a big theme of the book, I did want to explore that, the family's experience of being Black, even though they are white passing, versus Gemma's experience, as a Black woman. And because of that, I said, anyone, who has read the book or will read the book, I have said that because of how the Duchons thought, and their beliefs, like they were trapped in more ways than one.
So when I was reading it, before she even when she's in Treme having her coffee, or she's walking through Treme on her way to find the coffee, so find Lulu's Cafe to have her coffee. And she sees a chef taking a break in the alley, having a cigarette, because of course you smoke in the 60s. Cancer, never heard of it. And at first she thinks he's white, and then she realizes he's Black. And I was like, what? I was like, oh, this is going to play a part in this book,
Mhm.
which it does. Why did you want to address that, Del?
I'm not sure. I mean, even though there have definitely been novels, that touch on it, like Britt Bennett's Vanishing Half is one.
Mm.
I'm just not sure that it's been explored enough, especially in horror, because because like Rachel's, really kind blurb said, and Alma too, sometimes there are worse things, than ghosts. And yeah, because I'm like, to me, I think that's something that readers can think about. Well, what's worse here? The ghosts in this house or the family in this house?
Mm. And also the concept of passing, of
Yes.
passing for white, of the privilege of, the privileges that come with being lighter skinned, and the rhyme, the nursery rhyme, or the
Hmm.
taunt, the playground taunt that
Hmm.
um, Gemma grew up with. If
Right.
you're light, you're all right. If you're brown, stick around. Was that something that you had to reckon with, Del?
Not me personally, but that rhyme, that's something that my dad told me, that, he said is very common,
Mm.
for the kids to say that to each other when he was growing up, because my dad grew up during the civil rights era. So yes, that was something that, he heard. Um,
Mm.
like I said, me personally, I've seen, colorism, I've seen the effects of colorism, but my grandmother, she had like a direct experience with it that was, pretty sad. And in
Mm.
the advanced reader's copy, I included a reader's note or author's note, describing
Mm.
that. So my grandmother, she was born in 1925 in South Carolina, in the country. And, she goes to a school. It's a rural school out in the country, not very well equipped. So when she was, I think, like a teenager, the girls in the class were going to learn how to use a sewing machine. And that was something that my grandmother really wanted to learn how to do. Now, my
Or
grandmother, yeah. So my paternal grandmother, my dad's mother, she's brown skinned, but her teacher was very light skinned, like similar to the Duchons. And because they didn't have enough sewing machines for all of the girls to use at the same time, the girls were supposed to take turns. But the
oh no.
teacher, she was light skinned, and she favored the light skinned girls in the class.
Mm.
So instead of everyone taking turns, she let the light skinned girls use the sewing machines, and the darker skinned girls just had to stand by and watch.
Oh.
So yeah, so that definitely, played a part in how I wanted to craft this story.
Mm.
Yeah.
I feel that viscerally. Thank you, Del.
Hmm.
Read, love, listen, saying, whew, sometimes there
Hmm.
are worse things than ghosts. That hit too. That hit me too.
Yeah.
You feel that, right? You feel
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. And you get right in it, but it doesn't feel like, again, it doesn't feel like, okay, sit down, we're gonna have a class about this.
Yeah.
There, very organically and very through Gemma's eyes.
Yeah.
Um, because through Gemma's eyes, we're experiencing colorism, her
Mhm.
experience in the world as a beautiful, dark-skinned brown woman, and also the importance of names. Let's talk about that.
Mhm.
What did you want to convey with that, the importance of names?
Well,
Me.
I don't want to give too much away, but because I know you already know, Sarah, but there are some characters in the book who, I was going to say, and I think this is similar to enslaved people, particularly the ones who came directly from Africa. A lot of their names were taken away from them, and they were, had other names bestowed upon them, usually the people who, quote unquote, owned them. So there are a couple of characters in the book who their names were taken away.
Mm.
And it was, like in one case, the character was able to reclaim their name. And Yeah, I mean that I think that's important, for anyone because, the name that you were given, I always feel like, well, it was given to you for a reason and usually, for a special reason and, you should be able to keep it. So yeah.
Well, I loved that part of identity, not just outward physical identity, identity in the world, perception, self-perception versus how you are perceived by others, but also the importance of identity as expressed through name.
Mhm.
So none of that was I received all of that. None of that was lost still.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I want to talk about the mystery and suspense, saying in this accomplished debut novel exploring topics of racism, slavery, family, and forgiveness, author Del Sandeen has generated a perfect Southern Gothic vibe, both chilling and suspenseful. It's not every day you earn a perfect. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And
Thank
they are
you.
not the only ones raving. Eden Royce deems the book enthralling. Congratulations on that. Enthralling. Perfect. If I was you, I get these tattooed. Don't forget the time that they said perfect. Eden saying an enthralling, twisty Southern Gothic historical full of family secrets and century-spanning sins. A beautiful turn of phrase. A
Yes.
remarkable debut. Y'all, the book is available from Murder by the Book, our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore, and you can get your mitts on this cursed house right here. Del Sandeen, thank you so much for coming in to give us the inside scoop, for telling us all about it. Kayla saying, I am a firm believer there are some things that you just don't play with.
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
Get your hands on this cursed house and let us know what you think of Gemma Barker and her foray into the wild world of the Duchon's most haunted house. And let us know what you think. All right, y'all, that is a wrap on Mystery Monday. Del Sandeen, thank you so much for coming in to give us inside scoop. Y'all, I hope your week is off to a killer start. May the days and the pages fly by, and I will see you next week with Dr. Ian K. Smith and Stephanie Roble. Stay tuned.